Good morning, everyone. I am Mike Asherbrenner, the proud and humble leader of the Hounds of Business community, and you are witnessing for the first time the first educational presentation in the healthcare space. Absolutely super excited to bring up these amazing hounds, professionals, and just good hearted people. That's what we're all about, guys. So, heart centered, high level professionals getting things done through collaborations and reciprocity. My goodness, man, it's way better. Right? We always have a kind of running joke in the pack. Hey, where's the sales pitch? Well, because you don't need one when you're surrounded and pushing up the right people. You ever potty trained a dog, yeah, and you rattle the bag of treats and the dog comes running? That's how we are. I know it sounds crazy, but hey, it's profitable and fun. All right. So that's how we do. So when you do good things for others, they do it for you. And that's the tenet of the hounds, guys. So we're not going to waste a whole lot of time. We're going to get right down to business. And I really, this is not a cheap infomercial. This is not some kind of thing. This is valuable information, right? They are giving you gallons of milk to help improve your life, your challenges. If you're trying to improve employee health, if you're trying to learn more about the subject matter, these are guides and experts that can help you along that journey. And here's the thing: if you want to learn more, absolutely contact these folks to learn more. They're not pushy salespeople. All right, they're professionals that want to help you and guide you along the way. And here's what I love most about them: if they're not the best fit, they will send you somewhere that could be the best fit. And my goodness, right? That's the selfless thing. So if you don't know me, just a real quick intro, because not everybody does. Um, I'm in finance. Right? I love helping people, and I don't talk about it much, but because people say, "Why don't you talk about that?" I said, "Because nobody wanted to hear it." Right? But now people do, because once you earn it, now you got to know what to do with it, money, right? So that's me, but I modeled all my businesses from the same thing. Here's what this is about. Here's why we're doing this presentation, and this is why the community exists as a whole. You have an impact to make in this world. You have passion, you have dreams, you have potential, but all too often we don't have the resources and support to make that that realize that dream, to make it a reality. And that's what we want to do. We want to help push up people who can make a major contribution to this world, right? Who can go out there and bring great value in an honorable way with integrity. And then we get money for helping people solve problems, and we can go out there and solve more problems. That makes sense? Who's with me? Chat that in the comments if you're with that. That's what it's about. I want to spend the next 40 years out there making good things happen. And that's why I'm honored to have these guests here. They're with us. The great Jenny Ford. Jen Lynn is on the backstage, so we give her props for running the show. All right. So it will go much smoother than me doing it. So, and last thing, hey, if you see the folks that we're surrounded with on the panel in the comments, hey, don't do this alone. No strays. All right. No more strays. All right. Find your way here. Check us out. Test drive the hounds. All right. We may not be a fit for you, but hopefully you try on clothes before you buy them. Hopefully you date before you get married. All right. Same concept. Test this out. See if it's for you. All right. If it's not, I'll take you somewhere and introduce you to somebody who could be a good fit. We just want to see great people be unstuck. Courage before confidence. Make this thing a reality. Don't give up on your dreams. All right. Now that, and I'm living that. I don't say that as an academic. I'm a practitioner. All right. I'm finding out the self-help section. ma- Woo, right? So hey, when you go through it, being surrounded by people who can coach and push you up makes a difference. So don't build your business alone the hard way. All right. Reach out to one of us, reach out to me, and I would love to bring you into this amazing pack and panel. So with that being said, we're going to bring up our very first speaker. Um, this is amazing. We're going to go ahead with David Mendeski. Jaded Health. All right, he's wrote several books, and his real jam right now is employee wellness programs. So if you have a company, large or small, and you want your employees to be happier, healthier, less retention costs, right, all that good stuff, this is the guy to be talking to and listening to. So, David, welcome. It's an honor to have you, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thank you for having me as a guest today. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Well, we're not going to go any further. And David, if you'd like to take questions and answers, that's up to you. Folks in the comments, if you have questions, we will do our best to get to that and put them on the screen here. So, David, hey, drop the wisdom for us, and we can't wait to get started, my friend. I'm out.
All right, sounds good. I'd like to share just a little bit about myself so people understand my background, where I'm coming from. I'm a former lawyer, so I know how to do research. And I got my wake up call in July of 2016 at age 61 when my doctor told me, based on my lab results and that I was fat, I had a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack. So he gave me two options: lose weight or find a new doctor. And he strongly suggested I find a new doctor, and he was going to recommend some of his colleagues to me. The reason he was going to do that is because he had been after me for 8 years to lose the weight. And if I did lose weight on a diet, I gained it all back, sometimes even more. This time was different. I was embarrassed and frustrated. And during the next 4 months, I shed 50 pounds, which was 25% of my total body weight. More importantly, I've kept it off. And then 2 years ago, in June of 2016, at age 67, I hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro. So I don't let age be an excuse for not living a healthy lifestyle or being healthy. In doing my research for books, I've written 5 books. The fifth one, Jaded Health, will be released soon. It will be released October 15th. I identify what I call 9 simple golden rules for living a healthy lifestyle. I'm going to go through those 9 simple golden rules and give them to you. And when people hear them, the first thing they tell me is, I know that. I understand you know it. The question is, are you doing it? And for the majority of people, they're not. So here are the 9 simple golden rules. Golden rule number 1, drink more pure water. When I talk about pure water, I'm talking about distilled water, spring water, or water from 6-stage reverse osmosis. And the reason I say that is because if you ask one expert, they'll tell you one thing. If you ask another, they'll tell you just the opposite. And if you ask a third expert, they'll tell you the first two are both wrong. How much water should you drink? In my opinion, you should drink 1/2 of your total body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, you should drink a minimum of 100 ounces of water per day. Golden rule number 2, avoid highly processed, ultra processed, and manufactured foods. These are loaded with chemicals, seed oils, and in things that will make your body highly inflammatory. So golden rule number 3 is to eat real holistic whole foods. Instead of drinking orange juice, eat an orange. And the reason I say that is orange juice is one of the most unhealthiest foods you can eat. It takes 4 to 8 medium oranges to make a glass of orange juice, and it's loaded with sugar. So the question is, would you eat 4 to 8 oranges at one time? For most people, the answer is no. But that's how much sugar you're consuming in a glass of orange juice. Same thing with apple juice and other juices. So you want to avoid those. Just eat the whole apple, eat the carrots, eat the fresh fruits and vegetables, the nuts, the berries. Golden rule number 4 is to eat slower. We all tend to eat faster. Mark David, in his book, The Slow Down Diet, recommends if you take 5 minutes for breakfast, give yourself 10 minutes. And at a minimum, give yourself 30 minutes at lunch and 30 minutes at dinner. Golden rule number 5 is to eat smaller portions. Our portion sizes have been supersized without people realizing it. In the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter. Today, it's 12 inches in diameter, and in restaurants, it can be 13 to 15 inches. Yet in Europe, except for the UK, the average size dinner plate is still 9 inches in diameter. So I always recommend using a salad plate instead of a dinner size plate. Golden rule number 6 is to get adequate sleep. At a minimum, you should get 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. And golden rule number 7 is to rest to digest. And what I mean by that is it's an intermittent fast. And when I say that, people roll their eyes and think, oh, starvation. Most people are doing an intermittent fast without realizing it. The way it works is if you stop eating 3 hours before you go to sleep and you get 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep, and your first meal of the day, which is to break the fast, not necessarily breakfast, but to break the fast, will be 12 to 13 hours. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, stop eating at 7 o'clock at night. If you get up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, drink a glass of water first thing because it rehydrates you and it acts as an appetite suppressant. For me, I drink a 20-ounce glass of water first thing when I get up. Golden rule number 8 is think positive. 80% of our thoughts are negative. Imagine what we can do if we change that to be 80% positive. And then golden rule number 9 is to walk every day. Walking is the most underrated physical activity you can do. A lot of people think they have to go to the gym or do physical exercise or workout. You don't. It can do a lot of other things for physical activity. And again, walking is one of the best underrated exercises you can do. So today, a lot of people believe that they're eating healthy when in reality, they're not. And the reason I say that is because of the deceptive marketing used by the food industry. And the front of the package will usually say like zero sugar, zero sodium, this much protein, zero fat, all sorts of stuff. What people fail to do is read the ingredients. The ingredients are found on the nutrition fact panel, and unfortunately, it's at the bottom and it's usually in very small fine print. There's a reason they're putting the nutritional fact panel ingredients in very small print. They don't want you to know what's in there because they don't want you to know what you're actually eating. The other thing is diet soda, even though it's 0 calories, it causes weight gain. And why do I say that? It's because it has aspartame, and aspartame has 92 known negative side effects. One of them is it increases your cravings for sweetness. So you may have the diet soda, but then you're going to go crave the candy bar or the ice cream or something sweet like a cookie. The other thing is aspartame inhibits your body's ability to absorb vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And in doing so, it puts your body in starvation mode because your body's not getting the right fuel. So the body's going to fight like heck to keep the weight on. The other thing is they're changing the name of aspartame to amino sweet because they know that people, the public, are getting more aware of the negative things of aspartame and are attempting to avoid it. So that's what I have today to present to you. Let me know if there's any questions out there. Mike, do you see anybody with
Hey,
questions?
simple but powerful advice, man. And that's what I mean. Like little things. I was reading your book. Hey, by the way, uh, I hope I'm not overstepping. Right? This is your latest book, correct?
Correct.
All right. When does this thing come out?
October 15th.
October 15th. Oh man, look, I feel special now. Look at this. I even got an autograph. That's gonna be worth money, right? All right. So look, tell us a little bit if you don't mind. So these books, who are they for and why? What prompted you to write these things and even get into this? What prompted you to do this?
Well, I started writing my first book, Discover Your Thinner Self, about my own weight loss journey and doing research on eating healthy. Because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was healthy, fit, and trim. But like most people, life gets in the way with work obligations and family responsibilities. And I stopped exercising. I started eating fast foods and convenient foods. And before I realized that the weight crept up on me. And so I wanted to make it simple. I started reading books from the 1970s I had by Paul and Patricia Bragg, Jack LaLanne, Richard Simmons, and William Duffy Sugar Blues. And I realized they were talking about basic principles and concepts. Then I was reading books by today's authors, and they were talking about their products, their supplements, their methods, and their programs. And it made it sound like if you didn't invest in them and their products and programs, you'd fail. I thought something's wrong. So the more research I did, the more I realized that there are simple things that people can do that we call common sense that is no longer common to be healthy. And again, it's unfortunate because a lot of people, as I said, the problem today is people believe they're eating healthy when in reality they're not because of the deceptive marketing used by the food companies to manipulate people to buy their products. The other thing is, in the late 1970s, early 1980s, food companies started scientifically engineering food to make it addicting. So they optimized your cravings for fat, salt, texture, and sugar. And it's a term called bliss point. And that was a term coined by Howard Moskowitz, who worked for the food companies, Campbell Soups, Prego, Dr. Pepper, in developing different flavors of their products. In the 1990s, the average grocery store had about 35,000 products on the shelf. Today, it's over 50,000, some are 60,000. Now, I don't know about you, Mike. I haven't heard that many new vitamins, I mean, not vitamins, nuts, fruits, berries, vegetables being discovered. And what it is, it's just the different flavors of their products. And they're making it addicting.
Yeah.
So when they say, bet you can't eat just one potato chip, it's not a dare, it's a fact.
That's brilliant. And again, when you stop and think about, it's no coincidence that some fattening cheeseburger commercial will come on at 6 o'clock, right? Because hey, it's research. It's absolutely, science. they understand the psychology, and I'm sitting here hungry and grumbling, and I'm going to order that thing. And we have to be aware of it. So is awareness really what triggered you? Because you had your own background, right?
Yeah.
You told us this, right? Doctor said, "Hey, you're going to die if you don't change." Is it the awareness that the lack of awareness, is that what stops people from doing better? I mean, what do you think really stops people from doing a little bit better?
It's awareness. It's just knowing what's in the food. And again, it's convenience. It's easier to go through a drive-through and get fast food. It's easier to get a frozen meal and throw it in the microwave. It's easier to order a pizza or pick up some, food from, takeout. So again, people would rather get the convenience than going to the grocery store, buying the, ingredients and spending time cooking it. So there's ways to overcome that. Uh, the other thing is we're being manipulated and people don't realize it. If you think about it, red and yellow are used in the fast food industry because it's an appetite stimulant. Blue is an appetite suppressant, the color blue. The color yellow and red, appetite stimulants. That's why McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Denny's, Carl's Jr., all these fast food companies use red and yellow in their marketing.
Wow. Yeah, once you know, now you can choose, right?
And that's what it comes down to, choices and reading the ingredients on the package of the food. A lot of people, a lot of my clients will say, "Hey, look at this. It's a jar of pickles. It's got zero this, zero that. Is it healthy?" And I said, "What are the ingredients?" And then they said it to me, and one of the ingredients was white distilled vinegar. And I said, "Don't don't eat it because it's got white distilled vinegar." And they wrote back, "What's wrong with white distilled vinegar?" Well, it's used for cleaning processes and pesticides. Do you really want to put something that's used for cleaning and a pesticide in your body? So
Right.
that's, they wrote back, "Thank you, no." Another client said, "Oh, look at this great water I found. It's flavored. It's got this and that, zero sodium, zero, calories, zero sugars." And I said, "What's the ingredients?" And he says, "What do you mean?" So what's in it? He goes, "Oh, it's got aspartame, natural flavors, artificial flavors." I said, "When it says natural or artificial, those are red flags. Those are chemicals." And again, aspartame is an artificial sweetener that has zero calories. However, it's a chemical and it's bad for your body. So I said, "Just drink regular water." He goes, "I don't like the taste of water." I said, "Okay, then put some, fruit in it, like watermelon or melons or berries." When you go to a resort, a lot of places have, cucumber in the water. They have the berries, and they flavor it. So why not treat yourself? And that way you're also getting in the vitamins and minerals from the water because it's being absorbed from the fruit and vegetables, or at least, cucumbers.
Okay. Well, we got 2 minutes left. So I'll tell you what. Uh, if you don't mind, if you'd like to answer Claudia's, because every time we turn around, somebody's telling us something different. And then number two, how do folks find you? So people who want to learn more, they want to get a hold of the book, or even people, decision makers in companies that say, "Hey, I could really benefit from having an employee wellness program," right? So floor is yours.
Thank you. The Jaded Hook Health book, I'm really proud of it because it's got short stories and parables in it with life lessons, and they're short. And those life lessons I applied to eating healthy, and they're short, and that way it keeps your attention. And there may be one or two stories out of the 16 or 17 that are in the book that will resonate with you. So uh, it's a quick read. It's easy to understand, and not only does it tell you what to do, it tells you how to do it. The other thing, people can reach me at davidmedansky@gmail.com. That's my email, first and last name at gmail.com. They can reach me at jadedhealth.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Also, one of the questions was the new name for aspartame is called amino sweet. Again, they're making it sound good for you. Uh, Olean used to be known as Olestra, and then Procter and Gamble had to put a warning label on products with Olestra, and it had a negative effect. So they changed the name to Olean when they got permission not to put a warning label with it.
Wow. Okay. So you're packed full of simple, practical, but well overlooked. We're busy people. We have lives. We grab this thing out of the vending machine, and you're just saying, "Hey, prevention is a great thing, right? Being conscious of it, because we have some speakers coming up that are all about different things in cancer. And yeah, you can't cure it with super water, but we could do everything in our power to give us the best chance of not having ailments. I mean, that's just common sense. So
Yeah,
this is why I love this, especially when you're talking about productivity in a corporate setting. If people are feeling like not feeling well and they're ill all the time, man, that's costly, extremely costly. So
exactly. We have 4 times the engagement of employees participating in the wellness program than other programs. And the best thing is it increases morale, it reduces absenteeism, and it lowers turnover. And turnover is very expensive because it can cost the company anywhere from 1/2 to 2 times a salary of a person, depending on their position. So the retaining one person pays for the program for all the employees between 25 and 150 employees.
wow. Hey, thank you, David. You're a great guy. I love having you in the pack, right? I see folks not just from the Hounds of Business, from the Healthy Wealthy Hounds movement. So this is what I mean, man. People show up for good things. Thank you for dropping those nuggets. And everybody, hey, we will be actively letting you know about this book when it drops. But go to his website. Go to David Medeski's website. Check out all this good stuff. Practical advice. I haven't smelled. See this big old nose? I haven't smelled any, you know what? Right. So I'm a bloodhound for good stuff and bad stuff. So I love what I'm reading. It seems practical and but it's often overlooked. And it's nice to have a guide to help us stay on track. So thank you for being that, David. And we will be seeing you soon, my friend. Everybody reach out to him, connect with him on LinkedIn. And my goodness. All right, good stuff. All right. Thank you guys for hanging in. I told you you're gonna learn some stuff. I don't want to spill the whole beans, all right, but watching reading this temperate water. I've always been a fan of just room temperature water, and I feel like a weirdo. But it's actually a good thing, you know. And I'm like, okay, I got one right by accident. All right. So we're gonna bring up the next person, and she's had some internet issues, so bear with us if we have some technical issues. But there she is, Rochelle uh, Prosser. Okay, I can get my friend's name right finally. But she is an amazing lady. She
Yes,
has she was in the medical field. She's been on, as
I
nursing,
know.
but then her family had cancer and she turned to RN in oncology. And now she has started Orchid Healthcare. She is the CEO of that, making amazing impact in the world of cancer, survivalship, and just helping people navigate through this just really difficult system and the worst time of their life. So, Rochelle, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for being here with the internet issues and all the above. Uh, and please tell the folks, who you are. Tell them about your backstory because that's powerful and what you have come up with to help people in this wheelhouse. It's unbelievable. Floor is yours, my friend. Can you hear me?
Oh dear Lord. I'm not sure if you can.
Uh-oh. I told you, I warned you guys. Well, we got Eugene. Eugene Manley, PhD. Good guy. Let's go ahead and bring Eugene up. There he is. Mr.
I'm ready.
Dr. Manley. How
Good
are you, my
morning.
friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm fair to middling. I'm excited. Look at all these amazing people showing up to hear from you guys, man. It's unbelievable. So I met you through Rochelle. Right? Birds of a feather flock together. And I'm not going to spill the beans, right? Tell the folks what your background is and really what inspired you to start your organization and this massive, just impactful thing that you are building very recently. Uh, if you don't mind, tell the folks who that is, and then let me know when you want your presentation up, and I'll be happy to throw that up there, my friend.
Can you
Appreciate
put
you.
it up and go side to side? Because I don't want to lose me.
Let's see if we can do that.
You do that.
All right, that's why I had you guys on. Yeah, this is our first go at this.
All right.
There we
Let's,
go.
let's see if this will run, and probably do slideshow, or we can put this. See if it'll advance. See if it'll advance. We'll just do it this way. All right. So short version, it's small screen, so I won't read it all. But basically, I'm a mechanical engineer, biomedical engineer, and a cellular molecular biologist. And so a lot of my work spans musculoskeletal biology, biomechanics, cancer biology, in particular, lung and breast cancer. And so a lot of combination drug therapies, tumor microenvironment, angiogenesis, cancer stem cells, and sort of imaging and invasion and metastasis. But I've always been really interested in science and engineering. Always been motivated to help the next generation, because as I went through training, I saw a lot of programs that said they wanted to work with diverse scholars, but then they're really not doing the other work to make sure that they get through and are able to be successful in the workforce. And then as I finished my academic and postdoctoral training, I transitioned to the nonprofit space and first worked at the American Association for Cancer Research, doing fundraising and development. And then I went to the Lung Cancer Research Foundation, and did work in grant administration, science writing. And then that's when some public health people and some patients started reaching out to ask me to develop content around my Black patients navigating lung cancer. And then I went to longevity and broadly did a lot of work where I created the Minority Mentorship and Training Program for the Health Equity Awardees. I ran some partnerships that gave first-year minority med students funding to do research in the summer in thoracic oncology, with the hope that they might consider that as a specialty, because there's just such a drastic lack of diversity in thoracic. And then I ran 3 virtual series. But along the way, what I kept seeing and coming back to was that I'm first gen from inner city Detroit, and I just saw how healthcare was and wasn't delivered to my family. And then I just saw the challenges that scholars face navigating academia. And then I saw how patients, specifically diverse patients, still aren't getting information and resources that reflect them or their lived experience. So how do we work to change that? Next slide. So I'm just going to highlight some of these things. So we have some recent reports that show health inequities estimated to cost $320 billion annually. We know racial and ethnic disparities are estimated to cost $42 billion, and lost productivity numbers probably increased. We know that low income and individuals often have no resources, or no insurance, or underinsured, so that often impacts the quality of care that can be delivered. And we also know that there's bias and some racism in care delivery, so that often it causes these underserved populations to feel unseen, unheard, and often ignored. And then there was just a report in 2022 that showed that trial diversity is the lowest it's been in a decade, though everyone right now is talking about what they're doing to increase trial diversity, but they're still not doing it. Next slide. So some of these issues are structural, systemic, but these can start as early as just the diverse kids at who they see and when they see them. And so many Black and Latino kids finish high school saying they don't see anyone that looks like them in science fields. And so if they don't see people, they don't even know they can do it. We know that there's a lack of mentoring. We know there's a bias in grant scoring. So this really causes people to not be able to stay in academia. And we know underserved patients often find it difficult to find information that's written in terms they can understand. Next slide. So I launched the STEM and Cancer Health Equity Foundation, or SHEC Foundation, last year in August, broadly with the goal to increase STEM workforce diversity and to improve outcomes for underrepresented, underserved, and marginalized populations navigating the cancer care continuum. And really, the vision is to have a trained workforce that reflects the populations experiencing the greatest disparities, and to have increased cancer awareness and survivorship for all. Next slide. Now, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is probably going to take a good 15 years. So our broadly goals are to increase exposure, STEM exposure, access, mentoring, and training across STEM. We want to improve outcomes for underserved and marginalized patients through providing resources, information, grants, programs. And then we want to improve or enhance research for underserved and minoritized populations. Next slide, please. So this just quick, because I don't want to run out of time. We looked at the number of, there was a National Academy of Science workforce report that showed the number of undergraduate and PhD biology degrees by year. And, you know, the top left two are, I believe, African-American bachelor degrees. And then to the right are the PhDs. And we see that slowly increasing number of undergrad degrees, but the PhDs are sort of not really increasing as much. In the bottom, you'll see the Hispanic students, and we are getting a sizable increase in the population. The PhDs are still increasing, and we've always had low numbers of American Indian, Alaskan natives. But what we see is some people talk about there's a leaky pipeline, and it's not so much the pipeline is leaky. It's just either they aren't getting to the advanced degrees, or they're getting frustrated by the time they finish the first degrees, and then they're just getting out of the space. So we have to do more efforts to get more kids into STEM early and let them know how to find careers and how to help them navigate the space. Next slide, please. And so we also talk about trials, and this is just some stuff in lung, since that's one of my areas. And there's 3 clinical trials here that tested different agents. And what we really wanted to show is that the population in these trials were roughly 3% Black, depending on the trial, 15% Asian, and we just have other. And we didn't get the Hispanic population in the trials, which I think still was roughly 5 to 6%, but this is nowhere near the U.S. Census population of roughly 13% Black and 19% Hispanic. And so what's happened is we have these trials coming out that are getting approved, and they still don't impact the populations that even have the higher or greater lung cancer rates. And also we know that we have different epigenetic markers, different immune expression in Black patients, but this isn't showing up. Next slide. And, this is a paper we co-authored with USC and FAMU last year, where we identified all the lung cancer cell lines that are in the literature. And we found more than 800 cell lines. And of those, we saw 200 from white, 390 from Asian, 300 unknown, and only 30 from Black. No other groups were represented. And we found a ratio of male to females about 2.6 to 1 in all lines, and 7 to 1 in Asian cell lines. So we have a significant lack of racial and ethnic diversity in these cell lines. And so if this is our starting material, or things are developed on these databases that are like the TCGA and GWAS studies, which are generally based on European populations, then we're getting therapies that aren't really effective for the broader population. Next slide. So if you're an advocate, things you can do, always ask questions. Be aware now, as of January, that CMS has made nurse navigation billable, or is now billable by CMS. Before that, it was not billable, so it was kind of hard for hospital systems to rationalize why it was a return on investment, even though nurse navigation is critical for these patients, because they're the link between the patients and the physicians. Always be able to ask for a second opinions. Find patient advocacy groups that may have information and resources and help you find community. And there are different groups that can train you to be a patient advocate or research advocate. And I think my next slides are just a couple things that we are doing. We are putting on our second Lung Cancer Health Equity Summit in November in Atlanta at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, the one in Georgia, not the one in Philly. And the theme is Black and Latino patients navigating lung cancer, stepping stones to equity. And I think you go next. I think you have one more slide, I believe. And so let's go back one slide. Well, Yeah, no, this is fine. This is good. This is good. So we always talk about the problems, but we rarely talk about the solutions that have been created by stakeholders at all levels. So at this meeting, we'll have patients, researchers, clinicians, surgeons, oncologists, payers, insurers, hospital systems that are coming together to discuss programs and interventions that they have created or are creating that are actually reducing disparities, reducing inequities, and or improving outcomes. And we also are having a poster session so other people that are doing work in the space can come and present their work and eventually build these different networks. And so we all collectively know who's really doing work that impacts these underserved populations. And I think next slide, I think that'll be my last slide, I believe. And yep, so that's our last slide. So our website is scheq.org. And I'm happy to take questions. I hope I left enough time.
My goodness. Man, you did your homework. That's what you do, isn't it? My goodness.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Hey, everybody, if you have a question, I don't, Eugene, are you going to take them?
Yeah.
But yeah, I also want to make sure people understand the why, right? This is something that, I mean, you could do like most folks. You could go teach, you could get involved in research and academia. Why start a nonprofit or an organization? As hard as that is, what if you don't mind sharing, what is it that made you say, "Hey, I'm gonna take on this crazy project and work for 40 hours a day," right? Like, what is that?
Ironically, if you had asked me this question 5 years ago, I said, there is no way in heck that I am going to ever, ever, ever run a nonprofit. But then as I, looked through what I saw in academia, and then I went through the nonprofit space, you learn that systems are still limited in what you can do, and you have to work within the systems you're at. And and with all the anti-DEI laws coming down and stuff, and universities are afraid to do stuff. Some people are afraid of losing certain funders. And I said, we have these structural systemic issues that are still there, and we're not addressing them, and we're afraid to do it. So I just decided that since I'm an engineer and a biologist, and I see big picture and I see the different pieces, I said, okay, what can we do to move the needle in 3 different areas? It is very ambitious, I'm aware, but I have nothing but time and stress. But it was just, I just kept saying that, if not now, when? And then I said, finally, I just said I had to just do it, be responsible for the messaging, content, and be unafraid to speak about the issues. And if people want to support it, fine. If not, it is fine. But you don't no longer have to beat around the bush and rationalize why what you're doing is important, because you already know why it's important.
Well, I tell you what, I summed it up like this. I was all passion and no clue. But you know what? You figure it out as you go, right? Because it means enough to you. You're willing to put the sacrifice in, you put in the work. You're a doer. And that's what I want people to know. You guys got to connect with Eugene Manley. You guys have to go do it. Hey, connect. Birds of a feather flock together. And by the way, I've just noticed I popped in on other platforms that we're restreaming from, and there's tons of comments that we don't see. So if we're ignoring you, our apologies, not our fault. But we have a ton of support coming in for you guys. People are loving this. So thank you for taking the time, not just to present today, but every day that you're doing. So real quick, you have an event coming up. Tell the folks about that so they can plug in and follow you and learn more.
So that was the Lung Cancer Health Equity Summit. Those were the last 2 slides. Really talking about solutions that people have implemented to really address disparities and inequities so that we can collectively increase survivorship. We have a registration page. It's an in-person event, but the registration page is tinyurl.com/LCHES. The event is free for patients, caregivers, and survivors to attend. It scales up for everyone else. Early registration deadline is September 29th. I've lost track of time. I swear we got to September so fast. And then if you're also doing work in lung cancer and want to present a poster, we also have poster submissions. Those are due on the 29th. And that is tinyurl.com/LCHES poster. I know I made it really, I try to do the easy button with this because I'm juggling a lot. But it's really going to be a great event. We have people coming from all over the spectrum. We have people from all over the country, different regions. We made sure when we set it up that every panel had diverse representation and that we had no manels, because it's very irritating to go to conferences and you see we have 6 pioneering leaders and they're all 6 white men or 6 white women, and you're like,
Yep.
we can do better. And when people say, well, we can't find them, I said, you're not trying. If the question you say, I can't find them, then you're not really ready to do the work.
Yeah. Well, that's like an old adage: when there's a will, there's a way, right? Like, and I truly believe, I believe in organic diversity, right? I don't care. I don't care where they come from. I want people that can get the job done, right? You see me in
Exactly.
the pack. I'm surrounded by people that are very different than me, and that's why we're exploding. That's why we're helping people, making an impact together. And hey, love what you stand for, love your values, and the hard work you put in to help your community. And the goal is to make this worldwide, man. Make this a common thing, not an exceptional thing. And I love that about you. So thank you for that, guys. Hey, we're gonna pull up the one and only. All right, Rochelle. Look at me getting silly. Prosser. You look at her back there smiling. Let's go ahead and bring her up. She's ready to go. Hey, let me tell the folks. You're the most resilient person I've ever seen. Maybe a honey badger is as tough as you, maybe, okay, just maybe. But you have just showing up, you've been traveling days and weeks at a time, all right? You've had internet issues, all kind of stuff, and you always put a smile on your face to bring hope, not just hope, but solutions and guidance to those who, my gosh, need it the most, especially when it comes to cancer. Not just the effect on the patients and people dealing with it, but the families and the stress, the financials, all these things, the navigation. It's so hard. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you do for people, how you show up, and the sacrifices you make, just like these other gentlemen today. It is absolutely appreciated. So do us a favor. Tell us about your background, because it is a story worth repeating. And then what you're doing today as a result of your experience.
All right. So I had a wonderful PowerPoint all set up to go for everyone today. And I will say, reach out to Mike and I'll make sure you get a copy. But lightning actually struck my house yesterday in the very terrible thunderstorm. So I literally have no internet, and I'm talking to you from my cell phone and hoping desperately that I don't lose my link. So if I drop, I will be right back. But my name is Rochelle Prosser. I'm a neurotrauma critical care nurse. I am a mother and wife to 2 cancer survivors. And they are both alive. I will tell you that, but I will then begin with the story. I founded Orchid Healthcare Solutions because of their drama, because of their journey that where my daughter had a very ultra rare cancer of the brain, and there was no actual treatment back in 2018, 2014 when she was diagnosed. And about a month later, my husband relapsed from lung cancer and developed prostate cancer. And I literally had to choose who I was going to help because my daughter could not stay in the state where we lived. And we had to practice cancer travel. Tourism is the phrase that I have, where a family has to separate from their support system and go out of state or go away from their communities that they're tethered to find help in either chronic illness, but most specifically the throes of cancer. And so we had to travel 9 states away. And I don't know about you, that's not conducive to a marriage or to family at all. And we had 2 older children. And while going through that as a healthcare provider, I had to figure it out to make those communications and alliances. And so out of that, I became one of the founding members of the Cancer X Moonshot. And in talking to other government officials as we built public and private partnerships to really look at the diabolical issues of cancer. I was then appointed to the Healthcare Information Technology Advisory Committee to protect patient interests across this nation for people of color and vulnerable population. Recently, I was part of one of the co-chairs on the Health Information and Technology to Rule Committee, where my task was to look at information blocking and sharing for the general public, where patients are requesting their medical records and why is that not happening? But most importantly, making sure that these health records aren't used in a punitive way against them as they access the healthcare system. I am a board member for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital on the Miami Committee, which we probably will talk about today because this month is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and every organization in every state is doing a walk run for Miami. For St. Jude, I am no different. I pay St. Jude first before I pay my mortgage because they were the path to my daughter's survivorship. I'm also recently appointed to be a patient advocate for the Foundation for the National Institute of Health. And I'll talk a bit more about that because, again, it's going to take all of us coming together, not just academia, not just healthcare centers. It's going to take the individual people to come and lead with business interests, healthcare technology, and nursing to drive the conversation forward to make truly intuitive differences in healthcare. I am a member of multiple organizations, including the American Society of Clinical Oncology, the Society for Neuro-Oncology, Oncology Nursing Society, and the American Organization for Nursing Leadership. But my most important thing is showing how clinical trials from the patient story perspective for GRACE, which is the global resource for advocacy and cancer education. That is my most cherished association because that's when I get to be the most proximal to the people that I help. I get to hear the stories and share that in a way to make people understand why it's so important that those that look like me and those that don't, why we all need to come together and participate in clinical trials research. So I'm going to stop there before I make people's ear bleed and continue to talk a little bit more. Why is it so important for what we build and oncology care navigation? I mean, Eugene alluded to that nursing is now able to start billing. And if you can find a path to reimbursement, if there is a return on investment from the general public for private entities, then we will move the needle of healthcare forward. And it is so important because there are unique challenges and barriers in cancer care and patient care in general that people aren't aware of that actually impact their survivorship. And nursing is the most patient-focused and patient-facing professional organization and advocate for patients. We're responsible to collect the information on you as a patient walking through the healthcare system. We are responsible to store it in a way that is meaningful and impactful to your care so we can make true decisions that will help you recover. But we're also most important in disseminating what those outcomes are supposed to be and where it's not working for you, and to lean into the conversation to ensure that we actually access the problem and bring it up. And so when we're looking at long-term cancer survivorship and the overall side effects, my focus truly was in brain cancer and these very rare diseases, because you have to think about it. The body and all of the organs of the body are part of a larger system, but you really need the computer to make everything work. And so that's where the brain comes in. So you may have problems in your body, but if it actually affects your brain, then that computer is broken. And so that is the main problem. We have treatments and therapies that actually help to save us. But if it's affecting our brain and the way that we function and the way that we think, the way that we understand and the way that we communicate, these long-term problems become chronic in nature and actually cause more financial toxicity and depletion of our resources, not just for patients and families, but for the rest of the members of the community, because we're responsible to take care of them. And so these are some of the experiences that I went through with a child who ended up doing chemotherapy and radiation. And making sure that you're doing the right treatment for the right time in the right way is so important. We really have a push right now in the community to look at primary care and to look at preventative medicine so we don't go down the road of cancer today. But what about the rest of us that are already on that journey? Sometimes food alone is not going to save us, and sometimes chemotherapy or radiation is not going to save us as a single entity going forward. But we must do a multi-pronged approach to be able to find true meaning and impact in what we're doing as we propose. How do we heal ourselves? The body is unique in being able to do that, but then, it's sort of, are we sending a helicopter, a boat, a rope, a life preserver, a dinghy? We got to get it in, we got to put it on, we got to strap in. And so those are where our clinical researchers, our oncologists, and our medical professionals and healthcare professionals are so integral to saving our life. I don't think I have met anyone along this journey who had the intent to hurt or do harm as we go forward. And so it's very important to have that right relationship at the right time. And I focus really on people that are at the end of their journey. Treatments have failed them. People don't fail in oncology. It's the treatments that fail them. And right now, the way that life is going and technology is going so fast and furious, we're developing treatments that are just unique to one individual. Well, what does that mean for the rest of us? If we all don't participate and pour in our genetic material, our DNA structure, what makes us unique and different from the human race? Doesn't matter what color you are. Cancer's an equal opportunity offender here. Doesn't matter how much money you are. We are part of the human race. And if we're going to save us as a community, it's going to take all of us together pouring into science and moving us forward. No one can do it as any individual. And what we're finding is that there is a commonness among us, and it may not necessarily exist within our DNA or a biogene. It might be a receptor. It might be within our immunity structure. It might be something else entirely. But if we don't actually look at what makes us uniquely different as an individual of one, we cannot propose to move forward as a community of the human race. And so these are the things that I worry, because as a healthcare specialist, I know that there is always a cost to pay after cancer therapy. And if we're not looking specifically at those challenges and listening intently, I don't go to doctor's appointments for my family by myself, because the first thing that I'm thinking is, what's in it for them and what's the cost that it's going to pay. And then I don't actually ask the questions that I bring with me to that visit, that are so important to actually caring for my individual or the loved one that I'm discussing or participating in their care. And so I encourage you to do that as well. I also encourage you to find an ally within your healthcare team that can actually break down the information for you. Sometimes it's that environmental specialist, the person that comes in and cleans your room, because they've seen it, they've been listening to it on other patients, and they can explain it to you. But if you can find that one ally on your team, they can be that representative for you to intervene where you don't have that voice, to make sure that your feelings and thoughts are heard in a way that is inclusive to the conversation. And so these are the things why the healthcare versus the pediatric or adult caregiver is so important. There is a transition that occurs in every aspect of chronic disease management. When you're a young patient, um, just a kid, and now by the time you turn 16 or 18, you now have to see an adult cardiologist. But they're not going to send you the older adult cardiologist where you're not thinking about fertility. They're going to send you to one that actually has an understanding on how these drugs work on your reproductive organs. And men, you want to have children too. So it is not just a women's health or a childhood health. It's in everybody's health. And some of these drugs can hurt us or counteract the goals of relationship building, marriages, childbirthing, having children, adoptive, just building communities if we're not careful and thoughtful about the process as we go into recovery, as we look at what happens to us after we survive. And so Orchid Healthcare Solutions was born out of that. I had my husband, and then I had my child who was 3. And I had to think about what was best for them, knowing that I might be the smartest person in the room, and that's not okay. And you have to still be that loved one, be that caregiver, but also find an answer and a solution in a way that matters. So I'm going to just give you some numbers that might just bring you to pause. But it's very important in the struggle of cancer, so we understand what we're talking about and why, when I speak about Orchid Healthcare Solutions, it's not just a one-stop shop. Right now in the United States, 247 children die of every hour. Think about it. 247 people die every hour due to lack of cancer resources. I think in the pandemic, if you were to put those numbers up, it was a global thing, right? We put everything that we had, every arsenal, every financial resource and backing to resolve the problem of COVID, but we're not putting the same attention here on cancer. And in 2022, 693,000 people died annually. 693,000, that's almost a million people. So let's just really be clear. In cancer, people are living longer. In cancer, people are living with additional compounded illness added on to surviving cancer. But we're still dying at extraordinary rates. And these numbers are hard, even though we're doing all that we can. But here is something that was totally phenomenal. The government and worldwide, especially in the United States, we spend $87.4 trillion on cancer research, drugs, therapeutics, and technology. $87.4 trillion. And none of these trillions feature quality of life, any metrics on moving the needle on making the life and living with cancer better or as a solution. But this is why I had to intercede. I have to stand in the gap. That's one hell of a gap. If we even had 1% focused on patient care and how these drugs, how these therapeutics work and work through patients, it's a game changer, because now we can say, if you take this drug, these things happen. And when they start happening, we can tell the drug manufacturer it's happening. We can tell the nursing staff. We can tell the industry it's happening, and collect those things first, foremost, before it causes problems long-term in our lives. And that's what makes Orchid Healthcare Solutions. See, it's not just saying this is the problem. What are we going to do about it, right? So the World Health Organization and Healthy People for 2020 mandate that we focus on cardiovascular health and stroke. But when you add cancer into the mix, it causes a completely different picture. And we leave out the possibility of stroke and heart health in looking at cancer. Put your hand up if there's some of us here that have had cancer and had the treatments and it's taken your breath away. You literally cannot sleep, you can't catch your breath, you can't exercise, you can't move sometimes, or you feel like a weight is on your chest and you go to the hospital, you try to get intervention, and they say, hey, you're normal, so go home. And you're like, go home to what? There's no quality of life in that. And these side effects and these treatments are not a one size fits all model to all people in the United States. And so we have to understand that each individual going through cancer has a unique perspective on what that journey looks like and what their expectations on what their quality of life is. If the treatment is worse, if the treatment is worse than the disease, are we really helping? And so this is why we go to nursing. And what COVID taught us is that we need proximity and access to the treatments that we have. It's no longer acceptable to say, okay, our healthcare provider or specialist is more than 50 miles away, is more than 200 miles away. In COVID, it was just down the street and you didn't have that healthcare professional available. The other thing is unaddressed symptoms equals the next wave of chronic disease and complexity in care. So if we're not looking at it from a community aspect of saying this cancer causes heart disease, this cancer causes stroke, this causes these things, we have to come together. But most importantly, before I close, where we start is not where we finish. Referrals are extraordinarily important. You must ask questions and ask them often. We all bring a value and belief into what we're doing in cancer and how we want to go through cancer. And perception is the key to our survival. So I'll open it up for questions. And I know I talked a lot, but I just want you to understand that nursing is the key in going forth in all aspects of care. And thank you, Michael and Mike and the Hounds of Business for this opportunity to bring this to all of your attention.
Oh, it's our absolute pleasure. And thank you, everyone in the comments, hounds, friends of the hounds. Thank you for being here. I know that lots of people will benefit from this life changing info. These are great, great folks. Connect, follow, and share them with other people. Maybe we don't have a need for the things that they can do, but other people we know. I mean, everybody's affected by cancer. We all know a neighbor, friend, someone, and this is where we can help. I have a neighbor. I'm like, "Hey, like, I'm gonna connect you guys." I mean, it's just amazing, that what we can do together. So share these folks freely. I don't think we have any questions, and so if I'm wrong, Jen Lynn will fix it. But let me pull these folks up, and I wanna make sure, that everybody knows where to go. Alright, one more time. Eugene, Manley, thank you so much, good Doctor Ed. Where can folks find you again and plug in?
You can find the org, check.org. That's a Q. Our Facebook is STEMMCHEQ. Same thing for Instagram. And then our LinkedIn is, if you put STEM and with the ampersand, you'll find STEM and Cancer Health Equity. And right now we're doing our daily posts for Hispanic Heritage Month. So it'll be all people that have done stuff in STEM, and we did it back in February for Black History Month. So that's what we're doing this month.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hey, so that we all know where to find Rochelle, Orchid Healthcare Solutions.com. See, I got that right. And
Mhm.
we just threw out
And one,
David Mendeski. Hey, I
and
know. Hey,
there's one
I'm
more.
blind squirrel.
Yep, our platform is live for you to come in and access the oncology care navigation library and find those solutions for the and those diamonds in the rough. And that link is orchidcancercare.com. Orchidcancercare.com. Please register. I don't care if you're a doctor, nurse, ancillary, or patient or caregiver. We have a space for you to come in so you can access the cancer treatment library.
My goodness. All right, you guys are amazing. Thank you, Jen Lynn, back there, running the backstage, right? Making sure that this thing goes smoothly. Thank you. And hey, also, our very first Hounds of Business video. That's what we're going to show you. I'm thrilled. Uh, I made. I'm kind of like a 4-year-old that kind of made a finger paint, and then Jen Lynn said, "Hey, I'm going to clean that up and make it awesome." So, thank you for the help. We're going to air that, and then we're out, guys. So
Of course.
appreciate all of you. Love you guys, and plug in. I'm honored. Absolute. Hey, if you're a stray, if you're trying to grow your business, you have a passion, you have something out there. Hey, connect with us. Connect with me. We would love to help you grow. Look at this. Birds of a feather flock together. Don't do it alone, guys. Heart-centered, high-level pros. That's what we're for. So you all have a great day. We're going to roll the video. Thanks again, Jen Lynn. Thank you for all the moving folks
Take care.
support. And we will see you on the next month. All right. Take care.
Be in a bit of a pickle. Don't you worry about a thing. You ain't alone in this. You're just a success story waiting to happen. Trust me on that. Every bump in the road is just an opportunity wearing a clever disguise. Welcome to the Hounds of Business community, where we don't just sit around twiddling our thumbs. Nope, we turn those obstacles into mighty fine stepping stones. This here's a place where high-level entrepreneurs and sharp professionals gather to grow their businesses and mindsets, kind of like how a good old gumbo needs the right ingredients to be something special. Ideas thrive here, and collaborations? Well, they're as natural as sweet tea on a hot day. Success? It's a journey, and we're fixing to walk that road right beside you. Now, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn for all the latest tips and insights. We're talking about the kind of wisdom that'll keep you ahead of the game. And while you're at it, head on over to our YouTube channel. We've got ourselves a treasure trove of videos, from expert interviews to webinars, everything you need to stay sharp in this fast-moving world of business. The Hounds of Business community? Well, we ain't just a network, we're a movement. So why not come on and be part of something bigger? Join us today and let's turn your business journey into a real Southern